guys, what's going on? Along with Justin and KJ, this is for the Real Sports Talk and MLB Baseball blogs. Day 8, the Pittsburgh Pirates coming off a season where last year they started pretty hot. They looked to be in contention through about mid-July, and then they really faded down the stretch. Ended up going 72-90, although in a 6-team division, which next year will be going to a 5-team division. But in the 6-team division last year, they finished in 4th place, but they were still 24 games out, so essentially that meant nothing. You would tend to think they'll at least finish ahead of the Astros this year. But Justin, they made some pretty nice moves in the offseason. What did they do this offseason?
All right, this offseason they acquired Eric Bedard, who spent time with Boston and Seattle last season. They also got the latest acquirement was with A.J. Burnett. They're going to be shipping off 2 prospects and I think also money. I don't know the full extent of that trade. They got Casey McGee. I think he played for the Brewers last season.
Yeah.
He was in a bench role. He was playing third base. Was it? Third
yeah, it
base,
was
right?
third base. Yeah.
Playing third base for the Brewers. You also got Clint Barmas coming from the Houston Astros. They signed him. He's going to be the starting shortstop for this team. Some minor league deals. They got Juan Cruz, JoJo Reyes, or Ho-Ho Reyes, whatever you want to pronounce his name, and Doug Slayton. I mean, these minor league signings are just like minor.
You'll have to excuse Justin with the Juan there. He tends to do that a lot. But regardless of that, they made some nice moves this offseason. And they also added Nate McLeod back in the mix. They had traded him away to the Braves, and he had basically failed there. And they added some nice pieces. And also last year, like mid-season, they added Jason Guerrilli in the bullpen, and he did a nice job for them.
Oh, I also forgot to mention they also got Rod Barajas.
Yeah, they added Rod Barajas, who's been with the Dodgers the last few years, I believe. So let's go into what their lineup is going to look like. At catcher, you will have Rod Barajas. Last year with the Dodgers, in 98 games, he hit .230, but hit 16 home runs and 47 RBIs. He's had an up-and-down career, but for the most part, what you can count on is a lot of home runs from this guy. He's got a nice power swing. I mean, even in 2009 with the Toronto Blue Jays, he had 19 home runs and 71 RBIs. He's not necessarily consistent, but in a good year, he has some nice pop.
Yeah, he's gonna give you good home runs. He's gonna strike out from here and there, but he's not gonna give you a great average. He's not gonna be able to get the job done all the time. But what he's gonna do is he's gonna rack in some runs. And he's gonna hit some deep balls, and that's what you got to count on for him.
And he's an average fielding catcher.
Yeah, you're gonna get a lot of home runs out of him. 16 home runs. I think he has the ability to hit 20. He hit 20 once in his career. I think this is a year where he could hit 20. He is going to strike out, like AJ said, here and there. But you're going to get a nice power bat out of Rod Barajas.
And then you got Michael McHenry backing him up last year in 180 at-bats, 58 games. He had .222 with 2 home runs and 11 RBIs. So it's pretty clear why that they felt like they had to go get another catcher with Ryan Domit leaving via free agency to go to the Minnesota Twins. Obviously, they felt like they needed another bat in there, and Rod Barajas was their guy. At first base, they have Garrett Jones, a guy who's been one of the more underrated first basemen over the last 3 or 4 seasons. The problem with this guy is that they brought him up so late that he's already like 31 years old. But in the 4 seasons he's been there, he has hit in 2009 and 2010, he had 21 home runs both years now. In 2009, he did it in 82 games. In 2010, he did it in 158 games. So take that for what it is. And the average was a lot higher in 2009. The last 2 years, his numbers have gone down, though. He hit 16 home runs last year and 58 RBIs, and the average was down to 243. So he's going to have to get that average back up. And this is actually a guy at age like 31 that I could see being a trade piece for a team that needs a DH or a first baseman, and I believe he could also actually play some right field too, if necessary, but it's not likely a team's going to trade for him to play right field.
Like you said, Tim, Jones, his last 2 seasons has been on the decline, especially with his average, but he's still hitting home runs. He is his least amount of home runs since 07 last year, which is, I mean, he still hit 16, so that's okay, but I think that this year he's going to turn it around. He's going to have another 20 home run season. He's going to hit a better average. Hopefully somewhere around 275 is what I'm seeing out of him. But I think he'll have a better season this year than what he did last year.
I agree with what you guys said, but when you go back to that trade situation, I can really see Garrett Jones being traded to an American League team. They have some fine pitching over there in the American League, and a team that really needs a DH. Well, let me ask you guys this. What team could really use him? I mean, this pitching rotation for the Pittsburgh Pirates does need a little bit more help. What team in the American League or National League team do you think the Pirates could ship Garrett Jones off to?
I mean, it's tough to tell. Maybe if things don't work out in their own division with the Cardinals, let's say Lance Berkman isn't getting the job done. Obviously, they lost Pujols, or that Carlos Beltran gets injured, which tends to happen a lot, and they have to move Berkman back out to the outfield, or they could get Garrett Jones to play right field. That could be a fit. Throughout the American League, I mean, the Angels could potentially be a fit because right now, what I heard John Paul Morosi of Fox Sports say is that they're going to end up probably trading away a few of their guys like Mark Trumbo and Bobby Abreu before free agency begins, and they may end up being in a situation where they can't find a steady DH. So if that happens, Garrett Jones might be a fit there, but I tend to think they'd be looking more in the market of a closer. We'll have to see what happens.
Yeah, I'd agree with Tim. I don't see anybody else really going after him, though.
Backing him up at first base, then you have Casey McGee. In 155 games last year, he hit .223 with 13 home runs and 67 RBIs. So they have a nice backup plan if it doesn't work out there, or if they decide to trade Garrett Jones. They have a nice backup plan. He's 29 years old, and I mean, 2 seasons ago, this guy hit .285 with 23 home runs and 104 RBIs. And I mean, that's a really nice season. He won Rookie of the Month in 2009. So I like that what he's done throughout his career, and he is a really solid backup he will back up Garrett Jones at first base, and also Pedro Alvarez. He could end up being the starting third baseman. He's not a great fielder over at third. He's probably more suited to play first, but he has a really nice bat when he's hot.
Yeah, I think he's going to be a great backup, and like you said, say anything happens with Jones, he'll probably become the first baseman for the Pirates, but he is a great backup. He's going to give you some power, a lot of power. He's going to hit you around 20 home runs if he gets the at-bats that he had back in 2010, and he'll hopefully be another puzzle piece for this infield.
He's going to provide power, like you both said. He's more right now as a bench type of guy. He doesn't play. He's getting up there at age, so he's more of a guy who can really give you the power, say, if like a pitcher's in the pitching slot and it's near game end and the Pirates are down, you got somebody on second and third possibly bring in the game-winning run, and you need somebody with some power. Casey McGee is the guy you could possibly use if you are the Pittsburgh Pirates. So it is a pretty good pickup on both ends.
And Casey McGee, if Garrett Jones doesn't get traded and a team needs a third baseman, maybe like the Phillies if Placido Polanco doesn't work out, Casey McGee could be a fit there. There's a lot of teams that, I mean, third basemen are hard to come by right now, especially ones that can hit well. So we'll have to see. Over at second base, Neil Walker, who hit .273 last year with 12 home runs and 83 RBIs in 159 games. He's a pretty solid second baseman. I wouldn't say he's average. I wouldn't say he's above average. He falls somewhere in between. He's probably a top 15 second baseman.
Yeah, he's not going to give you 20 home runs like Cano or anybody like that, but he's going to give you around 10 home runs. He's going to bat you at a decent average, and he's going to get on base and get some RBIs and help you out. He's been on he hasn't hit the same average that he did in 2010. He went on the decline from there, but he's only legitimately been in the league for about 2 years. I mean, in 2009 he only had 17 games that he played, but I think he's going to be a great player. He seems like he has a lot of upside, and he's going to help the Pirates out.
And last year he showed that he's willing to take off. He stole 9 bases and got caught 6 times. That's not a great rate of success, but at least he's willing to do it, and hopefully he can improve on that. I mean, that's just a year-by-year thing. Either you make it or you don't, and some years you're going to get caught more than others.
He's more of an average type of shortstop. He's not that guy like KJ said. He's not the type of guy who can go out and get you home runs like what Robinson Cano can do, Dustin Pedroia can do. He's more of an average. He can get on base. Once he's on base, he's dangerous on the base path. So if he's on base and you got like Garrett Jones or you got Clinton Barmas or Pedro Alvarez, one of those type of power bats, and if he can run pretty fast, so that's a big plus to him being on the Pittsburgh Pirates.
You got Clint Barmas over at shortstop now, and he's had some up and down seasons in his career. He's hit in the years that he's hit for a better average, like in 2005 he had .289, but he only had 10 home runs and 46 RBIs. And then in 2009, he had 245, but he had 23 home runs and 76 RBIs. So you would tend to think for the Pirates that they would like to get somewhere in between, like a 260 average with him. What I see him doing this year is hitting about like 250 with 16 home runs and like 50 or 60 RBI, somewhere in that area.
Yeah, the thing that strikes me is I see that he hasn't, throughout his career, he's been up and down. He's up and down in his average area and home runs, so it's really hard to expect to see, like, to think what he's going to do this year. Hopefully what the Pirates are going to get out of him is a decent average out of him and some home runs. But the thing he needs to stay healthy, and he needs to be able to keep that role at shortstop and show that he can prove that he is the shortstop for this team.
Yeah, I like him in the field, too.
Yeah.
He plays great defense, but he really knows this division very well. He spent last year with the Houston Astros, so I don't really see any big problem. That he really knows all these teams in this division really well. So I can really see him having the same type of season that he had last year. Could go up a little bit at 244. That was a pretty decent batting average, but for him over the past few seasons, I think this is going to be a great year for him. His last year in Colorado was a bad year, but last year for the Houston Astros, there was a pickup from his days as a Colorado Rocky in 2010. 12 home runs, 39 RBIs, and he had a 244 average, so I can see that in that range for him this year.
Backing him up, you'll have the pride of Pepperdine University, Chase Denard. Last season at 217, 0 home runs, 6 RBIs, and that was his first season. That was only 143 at-bats in 48 games. He does a decent job in the field, so we'll have to see at that. At third base, you have a guy who I thought was going to be one of the... I think I even picked him to win Rookie of the Year last year because he was still eligible, because in 2009 he came up, or 2010 he came up, hit 256 with 16 home runs and 64 RBIs in just under 100 games. Last year I thought that he would improve on that and hit like 28 home runs. Instead, in 74 games, and a lot of this was because of injury, and a lot of it was just because he wasn't producing and they took him out of the lineup, he hit 191 with 4 home runs and 19 RBIs and walked only 24 times. So he really had a tough time even getting going last season, and I still think that he is in their long-term plans. He's still young, only 25 years old, but if things don't work out this year, they do have the option of Casey McGee over there at third base as well.
Yeah, the thing that jumps out at me is that how much he declined from his 2010 season to 2011. The thing is, he played 20 less games, but he didn't bring the power at all. He had so many less extra base hits. He went from 21 two-baggers and 9 just over the season from 2010 to 2011, but he is going to bring you some power. Hopefully he can hit more home runs this season. He went from 16 to 4. Hopefully he can hit somewhere around 15, and he can get you a decent average. Something better than 230, which is career average, but he needs to be able to do that to keep his role there at third base.
Now, Pedro Alvarez, I do have a lot of ups and downs for this guy this year. He really has got to get this batting average up. A complete down year for this guy, even though he spent this past 2 years in the majors. I think this is a big year for him. I think he could possibly be a breakout star in the MLB. I think this guy can hit 20-plus home runs. It looks like he has the power. I mean, last year didn't really show it, but in 2010 he really did show it. So I think this is a big name to really have on in your roster and in your lineup. I really expect him to hit the same average he had back in 2010. I say about 260 average, somewhere around that area, with about 20 home runs. I think this guy does have the power to do it, and I do have a lot of expectations for Alvarez heading into this upcoming season.
As we look into the outfield now, not Elvis, but Alex Presley will be starting in left field. He's a natural center fielder, so he should be a above-average fielder over in left field. Last year, in 52 games, he had 290 with 4 home runs and 28 RBIs. He's an alright player, doesn't do a ton for me. He's more of a backup player on most teams.
Yeah, like you said, he's mostly a backup on most teams, but he seemed to do what he did last year. If he could do that again this year, he had a decent average. He's never seemed to really be like a starting role like he's going to have this year, so hopefully if he can show people that he can withstand a whole season at left field, like you say, he's a center fielder, so he should be a better fielder over there on the left. He's going to bring you a decent average. He's not going to bring you any power, but he's going to get the job done, hopefully, and that's what they're expecting out of him, so hopefully he can do that.
Alex Presley, this guy's speed. This is what he really brings. He's the average type of hitter, as you see from last year, at 298 average. This guy will not bring you a lot of home runs. Last year he hit 4 in his two-year career helping the majors with the Pirates. This guy can really give you a lot of speed. He's dangerous on the base path. 9 stolen bases in the 52 games. Since he's getting the full-time starting left field position, he's going to start stealing some bases, and let's just see what this guy is made of. I think Alex Presley could be a big name in this team in the way future. So I think right now they're using him well right now, and just let's see what he's made of.
And backing him up in left field, you will have Nate McLeod, who obviously had success in his career earlier with the Pirates. I mean, hell, one season he hit 26 home runs. He ultimately could be a backup there eventually, and my bad, not a backup. He could be the starter again if Alex Presley has trouble in center field, or Andrew McCutchen or Jose Tabata get injured, anything like that. He's still only like 31 years old, he's only 30 years old, so he still brings a lot to the Pirates, and I think Nate McLeod will probably end up being the starting left fielder, but that's just my guess. In center, I think you have one of the guys in the MLB that everyone wants to see do well, and is one of the best overall outfielders. He's really a 5-tool player. He can hit, he can field, he can run, he does it all. He's a tremendous fielder. Last season, he stole 23 bases. He stole 33 the season before. His average dipped to 259, but the previous 2 seasons, it was at 286, and he hit over 20 home runs for the first time. I'm really looking for him this year to hit like 27 home runs over the 23 he hit last year, and go up over 100 RBIs, because the highest he ever had was 89 last year in 158 games. So I think that he can hit over 100 RBIs. He's still young, and this guy is the future. He's the face of the franchise, really.
Yeah, he really is the face of the franchise. And this is a guy, when he gets up to the plate, pitchers are scared to face him, because if he gets on base, he's going to steal bags, and if he hits the ball, he's getting to second base at least. He's hit 35 and 34 in the last 2 seasons, 2 baggers, and he can hit the ball. He can smack it out of the ballpark. He's only been hitting more and more home runs since he's been in the league. And he's been striking out more, and he's had a lower average last year. But if he's going to get the job done, get you more RBIs, hit more home runs, extra base hits, then it doesn't really matter. He's getting the job done.
He is getting the job done. You guys all covered Andrew McCutchen. This guy is improving every year, and this guy has the potential to hit near 30 home runs. And right now, I don't think he's going to hit 30 home runs this upcoming season, but he's going to be damn well close to it. He's going to get a lot of 2-baggers, and also maybe 3 or 4 triples this season. I mean, last year he had 5. He could be lucky and probably can overreach that. But Andrew McCutchen is just improving every single year, and I still have a lot of hopes up for him. So.
And then in right field, you're starting a center fielder in left field and a left fielder and right fielder. Jose Tabata is a natural left fielder, but last season in 91 games hit 266 with 4 home runs and 21 RBIs. He really is yet to play a full season out. I would tend to think he'll hit about 10 to 15 home runs this year and give you 50 to 60 RBIs. So it doesn't really blow you away. It's nothing really special, honestly. Let's look over at the starting pitching now. It is presumed that A.J. Burnett will go Game 1 against the Phillies, where Roy Halladay will be against A.J. Burnett. And I know everyone says what they've said about A.J. Burnett, but this guy has a knack once every 3 or 4 years to really be that elite pitcher, and he did it with the Yankees the 1 year. His last year with the Blue Jays, he did it, and the reason he got that contract with the Blue Jays was because his final season with the Marlins, they won the World Series. He pitched very well in it. No, he's injured, never mind. But he pitched very well the next season, I believe, which was his last season. So he's done a nice job every 3 years, and I think that he's going to do a nice job. He's moving out of the American League East, and I think that that's crucial. So I'm not even going to go through really what he did last year.
Yeah, if your every 3-4 season method is going to work, then it's going to work this year, because I think if A.J. Burnett's going to have a good season, he's due this season. He's been a pretty good pitcher over the course of his career, and I just think that he's going to help out the Pirates. He's more of a veteran guy. He's going to help these younger guys out, and he's going to bring a lot to the table for if they're going to contend or not in this division.
He's going to have to step up a whole lot this season. I know he's coming to a team after vetoing a trade to the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim for Bobby Brady, which would send Bobby Brady back to the Yankees and the Angels getting A.J. Burnett. But I don't understand why he would veto a trade to the Angels, who are clearly right now a big contender for that AL West, and go to the Pirates. I just don't understand why. But guys, I want to hear your insight on that.
Yeah, it does. I guess it's one of those